With the release of 2 theatrical trailers for horror movies featuring haunted dolls, I found myself thinking, what's with all the dolls lately? There is the upcoming Child's Play reboot, and the latest in the James Wan-created Conjuring universe, Annabelle Comes Home, both about murderous dolls come to life. The horror genre has always had a fascination with the haunted doll trope. The earliest example I can remember in my lifetime were the murderous puppets from Puppet Master and the R.L. Stine classic Night of the Living Dummy, neither which struck a particularly terrifying chord in me, yet there is something undeniably unsettling about dolls in horror films. Most recently there has been the Saw franchise, and there was The Boy, May, and another James Wan feature, Dead Silence, just to name a few. Pedophobia, or the fear of dolls, falls under the umbrella of automatanophobia, the fear of humanoid-like objects. The reason dolls are disturbing has been attributed to the psychological theory of the uncanny valley. If you are unfamiliar, the uncanny valley is a theory created by robotics professor Masahiro Mori to explain the phenomenon in which humanoid-like objects such as androids, robots, mannequins, elicit a negative response or even a repulsion as the objects are made to look human-like. At a certain point, as the objects look more human-like, the response reverses and again becomes positive. The uncanny valley lies in the dip in the graph which charts human likeness and familiarity response. Vsauce has a great video on the topic where he says,
"Creepy things are kind of a threat, maybe, but they're also kind of not. So our brains don't know what to do.
Instead of invoking a fear response, objects that fall in the uncanny valley, androids, mannequins, puppets, dolls, trigger a creepy feeling because of the ambiguity they have. Should we fear them, or are they safe? So that's why dolls are effectively creepy, but why are we seeing a sudden influx of doll films? Cinema, particularly the horror genre, has a tendency to reflect our societal fears. Want to know what the current state of anxietal zeitgeist is? Look no further than the silver screen. The invention of the atomic bomb and destruction of Hiroshima brought us Godzilla, an enormous monster capable of decimating entire cities. The Red Scare and the fear of communism brought us Invasion of the Body Snatchers, people who look like us but have a sinister intent to take over. 9/11 and terrorism brings us zombie flicks, an extreme form of ourselves that multiply in number and persistently attack. So what is happening now that allows us these doll films? It could be a few things. Dolls are figures from childhood, where fantasy and reality intersect. As children, we imagine dolls as completely alive, yet we control their every move. So when a doll comes to life and becomes completely autonomous, we lose our control over them. In some ways, seeing an animated doll on screen is equivalent to seeing a physical representation of losing control. An object we once believed was safe and completely compliant, even a source of joy, subverted into a threat, lulling us into a false sense of security, and then attacking. What could be scarier? So what does our recent fascination with dolls say about us as a society? It could be interpreted in several social contexts. The dolls could be the marginalized, the controlled, rising up against the oppressors, in a similar spirit of other recent horror film, Us. Or the dolls could be representative of the general sense of loss of control over the institutions we created to keep us safe, but now can be a source of threat, like ideas explored in The Nun or The Cabin in the Woods. But I think the role of the dolls lies closer to home. After all, that's where dolls exist, in the home. They live under the same roof as us. We love them like they are part of our family. So when they defy their assigned role as a passive family member, there's something intimate and personal about the attack. The more I think about it, the more I see the resurgence of the haunted doll trope as a response to the opiate crisis and the war on drugs. We see this paralleled in the dramatic genre as well, with films like Ben is Back and Beautiful Boy. With the current opiate epidemic, many families are dealing with a member of their household suddenly transforming into a distorted version of themselves and creating chaos in their lives. Not that we should demonize people suffering from addiction like the dolls are depicted. In fact, the opposite is true. Part of the reason why the war on drugs failed is because it sought to frame addicts as villains. And while that might be easy to accept when it is a stranger, how do you reconcile that thought when the villain is someone you love? The collective anxiety we feel from the tension in this situation is why there is sudden renewal of the doll trope in horror films. After all, what's more terrifying than having no control in a situation so close to home? Hi there, my name's Rebecca Barker, but my friends call me Chani, so you should do the same. Thank you for watching my video essay. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe and hit the thumbs up button. If you have a moment, go check out my Patreon page where you can help support my channel and also get access to exclusive benefits. I'll link it in the description box below. I'll also link the SAMSHA website down below as a resource if you or someone you love is struggling with addiction or mental health issues. As someone who's been on both sides of the looking glass as an addict and someone who loves an addict, perhaps my thoughts in this video are a reflection of my own fears instead of society at large. What do you think? Leave a comment below and tell me why you think that there's a resurgence in the haunted doll trope. I'd love to hear it. Until next time.